Have you ever felt that sharp drop in your chest? When she shrugs off your effort like it means nothing? You don't yell. You don't chase. You sit with it and realize men who know their value don't argue for it. They live it. This video walks you through 5 quiet shifts that turn disrespect into clarity without games or drama. I learned them after too many over-explained texts, too many chances and not enough standards. The day I stopped performing and started protecting my peace, everything changed. If you want fewer arguments, stronger boundaries, and a love life that feels mutual, hit subscribe like this video and stay to the end. Each move is simple and you can start today. No revenge, no bitterness, just calm action that makes people rethink how they treat you. Ready to stop over-explaining and let your behavior speak for you? Let's get into the 5 silent moves that make anyone think twice about disrespecting you. Point number 1, quiet distance. Have you ever noticed how silence can feel louder than words? Think about a time when someone close to you started pulling back, not with anger, not with shouting, but with space. Suddenly the air felt heavier, the laughter quieter, and the energy between you changed. Did it make you wonder what went wrong? Or did it make you realize how much you had taken their presence for granted? In relationships, respect is rarely lost in one big moment. It fades quietly, through small dismissals, sharp tones, or little acts of disregard. Maybe you've been on the receiving end of it. You gave. You showed up, but slowly she stopped seeing the effort. Instead of gratitude, there were eye rolls, sarcasm, or worse, silence where warmth used to live. How did that make you feel? Did you fight harder for her attention? Or did you feel a quiet voice inside telling you to step back? That's where the power of quiet distance comes in. Not the kind that plays games or tries to punish someone, but the kind that speaks from deep self-respect. Imagine it. Instead of chasing after her with endless questions, what's wrong? Why are you acting this way? You take a breath and reclaim your energy. You stop giving her front row access to your emotions, and instead you focus inward. What do you love doing? Where do you find peace? Who are you when the noise dies down? Here's the beautiful twist. When you create that quiet distance, it forces a mirror in front of her. Suddenly, your absence is noticed. The texts aren't answered as fast. The calls aren't picked up right away. Your usual eagerness has been replaced by calm patience. And in that silence, she begins to feel the weight of what she overlooked. Have you ever had someone step back from you like that? And only then did you realize how much they mattered. This isn't about punishing her. It's about protecting you. It's about choosing not to pour into a glass that has stopped valuing the water. Quiet distance says, I don't need to argue for respect. I will simply not stay where it is missing. And when you live from that space, people either rise to meet you or drift away, making room for those who truly see you. So think about this. What would it feel like to stop proving your worth and instead let your silence speak? What would shift in your life if instead of chasing, you started holding your ground with calm, quiet distance? Because sometimes the most powerful statement you can make isn't made with words, it's made with space. Point number 2, standards, not speeches. Have you ever tried to explain yourself over and over, hoping the other person would finally understand? You tell them what hurts, what you need, what respect looks like, yet the more you talk, the less it seems to land. It's frustrating, isn't it? Like pouring your heart into words only to watch them float away unnoticed. Now think back, has there ever been a time when you finally stopped talking and just acted differently? Maybe you stopped picking up the phone every time they called. Maybe you stopped laughing at a joke that cut a little too deep. Maybe you stopped making excuses for why you were always the one compromising. Do you remember the shift in the atmosphere? When your behavior changed instead of your words? That's the quiet magic of standards, not speeches. People don't remember lectures, but they always notice when access to you changes. For example, let's say she casually disrespects you in front of friends. The old version of you might have argued, raised your voice, or explained for the 10th time why it bothered you. But the man who knows his value, he doesn't need to debate his worth. He shows it through boundaries. He might calmly excuse himself, or he might stop showing up for spaces where he feels disrespected. No yelling, no begging, just standards lived out. And here's the thing, silence backed by action hits harder than any speech. It leaves no room for negotiation because it's not a request. It's a statement of who you are and what you accept.
Have you ever been on the other side of this?
Where someone didn't argue with you but simply changed their behavior and you felt that sting of realization? The truth is, when you live by standards, You teach people how to treat you without saying a word. And those who genuinely value you will adjust because they want to stay close. Those who don't, they'll fade, and that's your blessing in disguise. So let me ask you, are you still trying to convince people of your worth with speeches? Or are you ready to let your standards speak for you? What would it look like if your actions carried the message your words never could? Because in love, respect isn't argued for, it's lived. And the moment you stop talking and start showing, everything changes. Point number 3, self-upgrade mode. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked back at an old photo of yourself and thought, wow, I don't even recognize that version of me anymore? Maybe it was your style, your body, your mindset, or even the way you carried yourself.
Growth has a way of changing not just how you look,
but how you feel about life and how others see you too. Now picture this. She thought you'd sit around sulking after the disrespect, replaying the arguments, begging for her validation, but instead you disappear into your own world, not to hide, but to build. While she's expecting you to chase, you're busy chasing something bigger, yourself. You're at the gym, sweating through the weight of frustration. You're picking up books, podcasts, or skills that sharpen your mind. You're cleaning up your style, walking with new confidence, and suddenly even strangers notice something different about you. Have you ever felt that fire before? That moment where instead of trying to fix someone else, you decided to fix your focus? That's what I call self-upgrade mode. It's not about revenge. It's not about showing her what she lost. It's about reminding yourself what you've been capable of all along. Because here's the secret. When you start leveling up, the energy around you shifts. People who once overlooked you suddenly take a second look. And more importantly, you start looking at yourself differently too. Think of the times in your life when you were so focused on becoming better that everything else seemed to fall into place naturally. Didn't opportunities start opening? Didn't you feel lighter, more powerful, more in control? That's the beauty of turning pain into progress. And here's the twist. When she sees you thriving, when she sees you smiling without her, growing without her, evolving without her, suddenly the silence becomes loud. She realizes she's no longer the center of your world, and often that's when regret starts to creep in. So let me ask you, what area of your life have you been neglecting that could use this upgrade? Is it your health, your finances, your confidence, or maybe your inner peace? What would it feel like if 6 months from now, you looked back and didn't even recognize the person you used to be? Because sometimes, the best response to disrespect isn't to fight back, it's to transform so much that the old version of you is gone forever. That's the real power of self-upgrade mode. Point number 4, boundaries that hold. Have you ever been in a situation where you told someone, I won't accept this, and yet, the next time it happened, you let it slide? Maybe it was a disrespectful comment brushed off as a joke, or maybe it was constant canceling of plans. At first you thought, it's not worth the fight. I'll let it go. But deep down, didn't it eat away at you? Didn't it make you feel like your voice didn't matter? That's the tricky part about boundaries. They're not really about the words you say. They're about the line you draw and refuse to cross, no matter how tempting it is to give in. And the truth is, most people don't test your boundaries because they don't know them. They test them because they want to see if you'll hold them. Think about a time in your life when you finally stood firm. Maybe you told someone, if you speak to me like that again, I'm leaving. And when it happened, you actually walked out. Do you remember how powerful that felt? The silence afterward? The shift in how they looked at you? That's the kind of respect that can't be explained. It has to be enforced. Boundaries that hold are like invisible armor. They protect your energy, your peace, and your self-respect. And here's the secret. People might not always like them, but they will always respect them. A woman might roll her eyes at your words, but when she sees you calmly following through, without drama, without shouting, she feels it. She realizes that your standards aren't negotiable, because you're a man who values himself. So let me ask you, how many times have you spoken a boundary but failed to live it? And what would your relationships look like if, from this day forward, you only set boundaries you were truly willing to keep? Because when your boundaries hold, you stop teaching people that they can bend you with pressure. Instead, you show them that love, respect, and access to you all come with conditions, and those conditions are not up for debate. And here's the beauty of it. The right people will never feel burdened by your boundaries. They'll feel safe in them, because real love doesn't thrive in chaos. It thrives in respect. So ask yourself, are your boundaries just words, Or are they promises to yourself that you'll never break again? Because once you decide to hold them, everything about the way people treat you begins to change. Point number 5, scarcity of you. Let me ask you, have you ever realized how much more valuable something feels the moment it's not so easily available? Think about a favorite song, a place you used to visit, or even a person who was always there until suddenly they weren't. Didn't that absence make you feel their presence in a whole new way? Now picture this in relationships. Maybe you've been the man who always picked up the phone on the first ring, who always rearranged his schedule to make her happy, who always showed up no matter how little she gave back. At first it feels like love, but over time, doesn't it start to feel like she's taking that love for granted? Like your constant availability turned you into background noise instead of the main melody? That's where the scarcity of you changes everything. It's not about pulling away to punish her. It's about shifting the balance so your time, your energy, your attention carry weight again. When you stop being endlessly available, when you start saying no to things that drain you, when you invest more in your own passions, your presence becomes something to be appreciated, not assumed. Think about it. The man who is always busy growing, living and thriving is the man whose presence feels rare, valuable, and magnetic. Have you ever noticed how people suddenly chase what they can't easily reach? How someone who once dismissed your attention suddenly leans in when you stop handing it over so freely? The truth is, scarcity creates value. And when you make your presence scarce, not by playing games, but by genuinely living your life fully, you force others to recognize your worth. Some will regret not cherishing it sooner. Others will rise to meet the new version of you. Either way, you win. So ask yourself, have you been giving too much of yourself away for free? What would it feel like if starting today, your time and energy became treasures that only the deserving could access? Because the moment you stop being everywhere, you start being unforgettable. That is the true power of the scarcity of you. You know, when we look back at everything we've talked about, quiet distance, living by standards, focusing on your own growth, holding firm boundaries, and making your presence scarce, it all really comes down to one thing: self-respect. Not the kind you shout about, but the kind you quietly live. The kind that makes people stop and think, I should have treated him better. If you've ever felt overlooked, unappreciated, or disrespected, I hope this video gave you something real to hold on to. Because the truth is, the moment you stop begging for respect and start embodying it, everything in your relationships begins to shift. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me. I don't take it lightly, and I want you to know you're part of a growing community of people who are choosing to rise higher together. If this message spoke to you, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and share your own experiences in the comments. I genuinely enjoy reading them and connecting with you. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.